So you want to get into Your Turn to Die. You may have even watched my video on why you should play it, and I convinced you with my impeccable charisma. Well, this video is sort of a follow-up to that one, with some overlap, but this time I'm assuming you already want to play it, and I'm just telling you things you might want to keep in mind as you play the game to ensure the best experience. I don't have much else to say, and I don't want this one to be too long, so let's get right into it. You can play it for free on the website of VGPerson, the English translator. There you choose to either download the game to your PC, or you could play it in your browser, which works on literally anything. You can play it on a fridge if you really wanted to. The Steam version of the game has dropped in between the last video and this one. This version is paid and contains bonus past episodes for the characters, as a neat bonus to view once you finish. Speaking of finishing, as of recording, the game has yet to release its final chapter, which will be coming to this version before it is made free. Personally, I recommend purchasing the Steam version as it helps support the people working to bring us this amazing game, and you get those bonuses on top of a neat digital art book. Other than that, there are no differences between the versions. The game has a chapter select feature, so don't feel afraid to begin with the free version if you're still unsure, and then consider buying the Steam edition. YTTD is primarily a visual novel meant to immerse you in the story. However, that's not all there is. It's a point-and-click adventure game, and each chapter has different activities and mechanics, from puzzle rooms to interrogation to mini-games to attacking the Undertale heart. There are some really neat and inventive ideas here I don't want to give away as well. The game contains an option to turn on auto-clicker for mini-games that demand rapid taps, which can be a lifesaver to people who need that accessibility. I recommend going around and talking to every character you can at any point you can, as you can pick up hints, see interesting or funny dialogue, and get an idea of the timeline of each character. At a few points in the game, particularly early on, there won't be a clear direction on what to do, so you'll want to do this anyway. YTTD is designed to work on any device in the browser version, and thus necessary actions can be performed with taps. Click to advance text and interact, pinch your fingers or two-finger tap, or right-click to cancel and go back. Scroll up to examine the text log during dialogue. Control to skip text. For any minigame or deviation, you will receive instructions by the game. Short answer, no and yes. There are dialogue choices you can make throughout the game, though most of them do not have a lasting impact, though some may still affect the experience for some period in smaller ways. It does not have a branching web of story paths akin to the likes of Zero Escape, but it does have permanent lasting decisions and story roots. Your Turn to Die follows one basic blueprint of the story, at least up until the last chapter. However, your choices can impact major events, the tone of the story, the mindset of the protagonist, and the characters you have with you. The game employs a combination of illusion of choice and real choice to keep you guessing. In some cases, they are woven together so thoroughly that you really feel like your choices matter, and they do, just not how you think. It's a way to both allow the player agency and full immersion, while telling the story the way the writer wants to tell with deliberate pacing. The game is designed such that you could go through once, make the choices you want to make, and enjoy it without feeling like anything in particular is missing. However, the option is always there to go back and see the other side for a firmer grasp on the story, lore, and themes. My personal suggestion there is, if you're into it, once you're done, go find a playthrough on YouTube where someone made the opposite decisions. That way you'll get to see the other side of things and a fresh perspective without feeling the lull of retread. There is a clear this or that decision at the end of Chapter 2, Part 2, and this one is the most important for determining the path of the story. I recommend viewing all possible choices before committing to one for the final chapter, both because of how important it is and because this is a major climax to a crazy build-up that came before, and the outcomes might feel less weighty if you were to revisit it later. Oh, and one more thing. There's a moment in the game where you actually have a major decision to make, but the game doesn't communicate it all too well, and you might not even realize you had a choice. It'll be a moment in the game where you have your hands in front of you, and no, it's not this bit I'm showing you from the beginning of the game. You'll have the option to click and do what you're going to do, but you can also right-click and see the option to cancel. Remember this and consider your option. I also recommend seeing both outcomes to this before moving on too far, because at least as of this video, a mandatory recap later on spoils the outcomes. Just get to at least the end of the chapter from there. I promise it isn't too long. If you're stuck at any point, don't stress. The VG Person website has a walkthrough. I'll link it below. In particular, there's a notorious decision to make at the end of the final discussion in Chapter 1, in which you will instantly lose if you get it wrong. You will be given the option to expend clout points to think about it and receive more hints. If you haven't taken too much damage up until that point, you can pretty easily get the game to pretty much tell you the answer. Do you see a game over screen? If not, then no. There are no decisions that will lock you into a path that descends into a simple try again bad ending. You don't need to worry about making the perfect choices to reach a fabled true route, just play the game how you want to and you're good. That said, remember to save often and utilize your multiple save slots. You might get someone killed who you don't want dead. Personally, I'm a proponent of standing by the consequences of your actions, as it makes your playthrough unique to your experience, and then going back and seeing the alternatives afterwards. But not everyone sees it that way, so it's good to keep in mind. The content warnings are displayed on the VG Person website, which you can see here. There are a few names which are commonly mispronounced by players, so I'll clear them up. Sara Chidoin, or Sara. It's a Japanese name, not Sarah. So Hiyori. Gin Ibushi, like green. Kugia Kizuchi. Reko Yabusame, or Reko. And Gonbei Yamada. As of writing, there are a couple of adaptations, such as the manga and the currently untranslated Side Joe. I recommend playing the game first and reading the manga afterwards, as while some of its changes are welcome, some of its decisions are questionable. There's also the elephant in the room that they won't be able to do multiple routes, which takes away a major part of the game's experience. There's also the, again, currently untranslated, Yonkoma gag manga Kimiyon, Your Turn to Die Where Nobody Dies. Your Time to Shine Island Existence is a micromanagement side game that offers plenty of character moments and some hints at lore. Only a few protagonists are available at the time of recording, but eventually every main participant character should be playable, each offering their own unique interactions with the other characters and minigame. It contains spoilers for the whole game, so only check it out once you're caught up. If there's any parting advice I can give, it's that this game emotionally wrecks people. If you're someone who gets heavily invested in fiction and attached to the characters, you need to prepare to have your heart torn to shreds. And don't feel bad about taking breaks if you occasionally have to. The fans understand. And that's all I had to say. I think with that, you should be ready to enjoy the game. Come back here once you have, and let me know if you thought my advice was helpful. If you've already played the game and watched this all the way through, drop what you think newcomers should know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I go by Tasty Nachos, and you go by